Hello and welcome to the first lesson of mechanics. We're going to look at forces. What are forces? How do we draw them? And what are their names? Yes, they have names. Now, what is a force? It's a twist, a push, or a pull. A push is on one side and the object moves away. A pull is when the force is on one side and the object comes towards you. A twist is a mixture of both. One side gets pushed away, the other side gets pulled towards you. Now you have to say if the following are pushes, pulls or twists. Writing on paper is a push. Typing on a keyboard is a push. Playing tug of war is a pull. Unscrewing the top of a bottle is a twist. Posting a letter through a door is a push. Putting on a pair of socks is a pull. Turning a door handle, depending on the door handle, the old style door handle, it's a twist. Now, applying forces, in other words, free body diagrams. Here we have a body. And it could be anything. It could be a ball, it could be a person, it could be an egg, anything. And we represent the force by an arrow going down from the object. So what are the features of free body diagrams? The first one is that the forces go from the middle of the object. The second one is that we express the forces as arrows. The third one is the length represents the size of the force. The last one, the forces must be labelled. This one is not labelled. There you go. This is the weight of an object. It weighs 1 Newton. And the force is downwards because it's due to gravity. Now we have a physics teacher here. This is what a physics teacher looks like. There's a force acting down of 800 newtons. It's more like 900 newtons now. There's the floor, so the force that is acting downwards is around 800 newtons. There's another force acting upwards, which is 800 newtons. They're the same size force, they're balanced, so basically the sum of the forces is equal to 0. Wait a second, we must label the forces as well. So we have the weight, which is downwards, and the reaction, which is upwards. Notice that the length of each force arrow is the same. Now, this force diagram shows you the direction of forces acting in. The direction shows you the direction of the force, and the lengths tell you the sizes of the forces. We have an object which has just been thrown or dropped. There are two forces acting on it. Downwards is the weight, which we must not forget, and upwards is air resistance. Downwards is the weight, and upwards is the air resistance. Notice that the weight vector is longer than the air resistance, so the weight force is going to be bigger than the air resistance, so it will accelerate downwards. Here we have a rather unused, neglected homework diary sitting on a table. What forces are pulling down on the book? We know that weight is pulling down on the book. And the diary does not move, so there must be an equal and opposite force pushing up on the diary. What do we call this force? Well, this is the normal reaction, and that's labelled so. But we must label the forces. There's the weight, and there's the reaction. Here we have a fish. What is the thrust? This is the push that makes the fish go forward. What is the up thrust? This is the upwards force on a body in a liquid or a gas. It's what makes balloons float. It's the up thrust. Let's draw all the forces, but notice that the vertical forces are both the same size, so they're balanced. The horizontal forces, in other words the friction and the thrust, are the same size as well. So it will either be still or at a constant velocity. But we must label these forces. Up thrust, friction, thrust, and the weight always goes downwards. Now we need to name some forces. The weight is the force downwards due to the force due to gravity. The normal reaction is when a surface pushes back on something. So when you push against something, there will be a normal reaction back against the push. Friction is a contact force which opposes the motion of something. Thrust is a force applied which pushes something forward. The lift is a force that lifts, for example, a plane, so that when a plane flies, there's a force upwards called the lift. The upthrust is the force upwards that is due to the buoyancy. Air resistance is like a resistive force that prevents motion through air. And drag is a kind of air resistance, but it's the force that pulls an object back in a fluid. And air is a fluid, but also water is a fluid, and oil.